What's that, Skip? Shauno's talking about Supercoach again. Let's go. G'day everybody, it's Shauno again and I'm back with some more Supercoach content. Today we're going to be doing another spotlight video, but instead of doing one player this time, we're going to do mid-price defenders. So I've been trying to pick my team and I've been having some troubles deciding on which one of these mid-prices that I want in my team. So I thought I'd jump on, do a video, and I thought maybe I could help you out if you're having a hard time like I am, or maybe you can help me out by leaving a comment down below, letting me know who you're going to pick. So before we go on, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 300 subscribers before the beginning of the season, so that would help me out a lot. If you like the video, give it a like, and don't forget, comment down below. I'll answer any comments you make. I try to get back to everyone who leaves a comment. Before we move on to, I've just been trying to make my channel a little bit better for the community to help you guys out. So what you can do for me is go and join my X or Twitter. There should be a link down below, and also my Discord, where there'll also be a link down below. With the Discord, it's there. You want to have a chat about Supercoach, you want to ask me a question, please go ahead. If you want to post your team, I'll put a post your team section. Now, I love doing live videos where I get to interact with you guys in real time. And so if we get a few people who post their teams in that section, we will go ahead and do a live video where I'll either chat to you about them live, or you can come and watch the video at a later date and you can see what I had to say then. Anyway, if you can do that for me, that'd be great. Let's get on with the video now. All right, player spotlight on mid-price defenders. Okay, so these are the 6 that I've picked out, which I noticed most people are talking about, and the ones I'm going to talk about. We're going to crunch the stats a little bit and see who I think are good picks and not so good picks for your team. Now, before we get started, I think it's very important to decide when you're guiding these mid-price players, why are you getting them? That's what you got to ask yourself. Why are you getting them? Because they're not rookies. You're not getting them to make money. So don't expect these players to go up by 200k. At best, one of these 450k players, like the Colby McKercher here, he might get to 550 if he has a really good season and sit around there if all things go well for you. But so he's not really going to make you a ton of money. And now when you get a rookie in Supercoach, you really want him to make at least 200k. Now I know last year the rookie situation was a bit rough because of the sub rule, and we were selling our rookies for 100 or 150k. But this year with no sub rule, you really want to hope that all your rookies make at least 200k. So I think you really got 2 choices. You got to ask yourself, is this a guy that you think is a fallen primo or could go up to premium status and remain as a keeper in your team? Or is this a guy who you want to hold and use him as a stepping stone up to one of those big guns in defense, like a Lockie Whitfield or a Nas? So I think they're your 2 choices, and you should be very clear when you pick the player what his role in your team is going to be. So let's get on and have a look. The first one, Colby McKercher. Sorry about that. Colby McKercher. We'll try for a third time. So he's age 20, so he's a young man. If we go down and look at his stats from last year, so the reason we're thinking about him, because he made a move to the back line and started taking kick-ins and being that backline distributor. So here I've highlighted the games since when he started taking kick-ins. So over this 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 game block for the end of last season, he averaged a score of 102. So that's pretty good. If he was doing that, we'd be very happy. And so I think that's why a lot of people are considering him. A lot of people are very bullish on him. He's a young man. His body should be well and fit. Haven't heard anything about any injuries so far this preseason. So if he gets this same back role, I think he is definitely one that we should be looking at. Now, the next man that we're going to look at is Miles Bergman from Port Adelaide. A little bit older, 24, should be in his prime. Now, he's a little bit of the opposite. He's not going back and taking kick-ins. He is rumoured to be having a more of a midfield role. Yes, we hear this every year with players and we get burnt every year, but this is what the coach said. He said he's looking forward to seeing him more in the midfield. So let's have a look and see how Miles does when he gets in the midfield. So if we go down, I've highlighted the games here where he's played more than 50% CBAs. So centre bounce attendances, when he's been in the middle, more than 50% for a game, he scored 108 average Supercoach points. So that's really good. So that is a score that is almost primo keeping. I didn't really go through and quote off some of Colby McKercher had some really big scores. He had a 140 and a couple of 120s. Bergman here looks a little bit more steady, but like 121, 128, 117, 112. Lowest score was 76 when he played 83% CBAs. So you can see that move to the midfield, really ups his average there. So if he gets that permanent role in the midfield, I think that's he's someone that we should very much consider. Now, with both of these guys, Colby McKercher and Miles Bergman, they both don't have an early bye. So that's a big plus for them. Unfortunately, a big negative for them. If we have a look at the buys, and thank you to whoever made this infographic here. So neither of them have an early bye, but they both have this round 12 bye. Now, I think at this time of year, we're getting a bit more serious about our team. We're still having a bit more in-depth think, and we should be taking buys into account. So the early buys, we would like not too many premiums out in those early buys, but this round 12 looks really rough. So you've got North and Port Adelaide. So if you were to pick both Bergman and McKercher, I mean, a lot of us are probably going to have Tristan Sherry in our team as well. Most people are going to have Harry Sheasel. You're probably going to have Zach Butters. I mean, so that's 5 right there. And that's without any of these Gold Coast mids like Noah Anderson and Matt Rowell that we all want. And maybe you want Jordan Dawson, who doesn't have an early bye, but who plays for Adelaide. So how many of these guys can you really have in your team? There is a limit. So this, again, goes back to what's your plans for these players? If your plan is to flick them off before this round and upgrade to a premium, maybe you're thinking, going to keep Bergman until just before this round and then trade him up to Whitfield. Even though Whitfield has a following bye after this round, he's only 2 teams off on that round, them and Richmond. So maybe that's a good plan to have in the back of your head. But anyway, just need to keep in account this round 12 bye and which bye some of these players are going to be on. I think it's time we need to take that into account when we're thinking about these players. Can't have too many of them, especially for this round 12 bye. All right, let's move on. So the next player we're looking at is Nick Newman. Now, Nick Newman's a bit older. He's 32 and he was injured all last year, so didn't play at all last year. Now, why we're looking at him is because if we go back to his 2024 stats, he was the main man in the back line there. Him and Saad were taking all the kick-outs. And so when he did this, I've highlighted all the matches here where he was taking kick-outs, and he's averaged 105 Supercoach points, including some big ones, some big scores of 143, 145, and 152. Now, yes, his durability might be a little bit of a worry, but we've seen with this back distributor role that you don't have to be a young man. You can take a look at Zorko. Every week, they wheel Zorko out in a wheelchair. He jumps out of the wheelchair, runs around, gets 30 possessions, and scores 100. So, I mean, maybe not every week for Zorko, but it just shows that it can be done. So you don't have to be a young man to excel in this role. So with that in mind, I think he's definitely an option. If at the beginning of the season there's no talk about injury, he plays all the preseason games and he's looking really good and he looks like he has that role, I think he's definitely going to be an option. And if we have a quick look at his bye, he is around 14 bye and he also has the round 2 bye. So in theory, you could have a look at him and buy him in after round 2, or you can just buy him in, miss that one round, depending on how many of these other players you have in these other teams for that early buy. And then the round 14 buys, it's not too bad. Like, you got Collingwood, you might have Dacos, Can't think of too many others. For Freo, you might be looking at Caleb Sarong or Brayshaw or the Rucks down there. Hawthorn, not a lot of relevant players. So this buy is probably a lot friendlier than the round 12 buy. And if you were using him as that stepping stone, you could always do something like upgrade him to Whitfield here straight after, and then you're fine. You don't have to worry about him after that. Wait after this round, upgrade him to Whitfield, and then, or Lockie Ash, and then move on. So again, I think that he's a pretty valid pick and someone we should be considering. A lot will depend on how his body holds up. So the next one is Sam Banks. Now, I've heard a lot of people talking about him, so I thought I would chuck him in. Now, I have to admit, I went through and looked at his stats, and he seems to be, when it comes to kick-ins and that back roll, it seems to be shared around a bit back there in the Richmond back line between him, Jaden Short, and Nick Vlastuin. So however you pronounce his name, the three of them, they're the ones that seem to share all the kick-ins and that back roll. So I'm not sure he's got it as much to himself as some of these other guys might have. So I went through and highlighted all the ones where he got kick-ins, except, and I was even a bit nice to him. A few of these he got one kick-in, and I took those out, and there he averages 89 Supercoach points. So for me, that's not good enough for me, and so it kind of crosses him out. Maybe he's going to step up this year. Maybe Jaden Short gets injured, or they phase him out of the team and he gets more of that back line role. Then he could maybe be more of an option. But for me at the moment, until I see something that tells me a little bit different, I'm saying it's a no from me. So the next one we're going to look at is Andrew McGrath. And now he's another one who's not moving to the back line. He's moving from the back line to the midfield. Now, whether this is going to be a permanent thing or not, that's something we're going to have to keep our eyes on. They do have people like Parrish coming back into that midfield at Essendon. And I think he's always going to be behind Merritt and Caldwell, but maybe if one of those guys get injured, maybe he gets a permanent job in the midfield. So in the midfield, when he has over 50% CBAs, which is only a 5-game sample of last year between round 20 and 24, he scored 110 average. So that's really good. If he could get a job in there full time, you'd definitely be thinking about picking him. Unfortunately, we're not too sure whether he's going to get that job or not. So keep an eye out in the preseason. If it looks like that's going to be his role, maybe he's one that we can consider. So the last one on the list is not really a mid-pricer. If we go back to here, the price at 233K, I don't regard this as a mid-pricer. Mid-pricers are about 300 to 450. Anything less than about 250, 300, I'm putting Keidean Coleman at 233,000 as a high-price rookie. So as a high-price rookie, the reason I included him is because I think he's almost a lock at that price. If you go back and have a look when he played his last long stint in 2023, when he was taking kick-ins, he averaged a 94. So a 94 at a player who's priced at 233,000 is extremely good. You can use him as that jump up rookie because he's probably going to make you 200K. If he's going to stay on the park, he will definitely make you 200K. And it looks like he's capable of getting you decent scores. Some of his scores include 2 of 127, 116, 112. He had a few low ones too, like a 66 and a 64. But it shows he can score well, and he only needs to do that a few times to really bump up his price and pretty much be, hold you off to the buys, and just hopefully his body can hold out. He has had a bit of a rough, over the last 2 seasons, he's only played about 5 games. So hopefully he can get his body right. But the coach did come out and say he's in great nick at the moment, and he's loving the way he kicks it, straight onto the chest of the players he's aiming for. And so, it looks like they highly rate him down there, and there's a good chance he'll be in the team if his body is all ready to go. Quick look at buys for him. He'll be in this round 2 buy as well. So if you're taking him and Nick Newman, just be aware of that. But then when you come down, he's in the round 15 buy here, which doesn't look too bad. You've got Brisbane, Swans, Essendon and Eagles. You wouldn't think you'd have a lot of premiums from Essendon or Eagles. You might have someone like a Goulden or a Heaney from Sydney, and then you've got a plethora of options from Brisbane. So, you know, Brisbane, you could have quite a few Brisbane players in your team with all their good mids and ruck options with like Draper and stuff. So, you know, that could be an option, but I think it's still better. I think the worst buys are probably 12 and 16. With Cats, St Kilda, Bulldogs and Melbourne, there's going to be a lot of players that you want in this buy. People like Bont, Nass, Sinclair, Bailey Smith, Max Holmes. So there's going to be a lot of players in this buy that I think you want, and a lot of players in this buy you think you want. So keep an eye on those buys when you're picking your team. Anyway, crew, so I think that is all I've got to say on mid prices. Now, I'm still really struggling to decide who I want to pick, so I would love it if you leave me a comment down below and tell me who you're going to pick and why. Now, I would also love it if you subscribe to the video. Like we said, we're trying to get to 300 subscribers. Leave me a like if you like the video. That would be awesome. And don't forget, put your team in the leave your team here in Discord. Don't forget the links down below. You chuck your team in there, and I'll answer any questions you have about it. And when we do a live video in the coming weeks, we'll talk about it and see if I can give you any advice. All right, thank you everyone. I hope everyone has a great day, and I'll talk to you all very soon. Take it away, Skip.